How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm actually doing rather well. Good to actually hear your voice. It's been a couple of months since we've actually got to see each other.
Yeah, we haven't got to talk, really. I mean, of course, face-to-face at all, since you guys were down on one of our private tours.
Yeah.
When was that? June? August?
Yeah, I guess it was like, I think it was in August. I think we had one in June and another one in August, because I had two of them that I took up there. But anyway, John is with Paranormal Science Lab. Like I was, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, like what you're up to right now.
Oh, I'm kind of on a hiatus at the moment. Currently, I've been focusing mainly on my shamanic practitioner, just simply because it affects my paranormal research in the sense that I do psychic, I hate that word psychic, how about spirit walking, spirit talking, when I do evidence, when I'm trying to get evidence. I use my abilities to help us get information and kind of move us in the right direction. Of course, you've worked with Lisa and I, and Lisa and I both are sensitive, as are you. And you know how beneficial it is when you're working in the paranormal to be able to use your body as a tool in doing the research. So, that's something that I've been focusing on, especially over the last year, is really heightening that awareness and being able to focus during the investigation so that I can get more information quickly, as opposed to trying to inhale around through it and sludging through all the images and feelings and emotions and that we get bombarded with. It's very difficult, as you know, to be able to get through that information, and it takes a lot of practice. I mean, it takes a lot of spiritual work. It takes a lot of actually doing it to be able to channel that in.
Yes, definitely. And especially for someone like me who, I mean, I've always known I had abilities, but I didn't know exactly what it was. I knew I wasn't, what we normally tend to call psychic. I'm not there. I'm at the empath point where I'm insensitive to the emotions and stuff too, and I have to learn how to better ground myself. So you doing the shamanic work, I mean, even people that I've known for a while in this field have told me that I should probably take that route because of me being a sensitive and because of me supposedly going to be a healer or something like that in my, supposedly that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know. I'm just walking one foot in front of the other right now and doing what I feel, spiritually is right for me. So I can understand why you're kind of taken aback. I know that you had, we had talked about, grounding and shielding and things like that when we were together, and you really hooked me up with a cool medicine bag, and I carry those stones and stuff with me everywhere. And they mean a lot to me, but, I know that you were doing the walk in this, and you've kind of taken a little bit of back from that, and that has to do with also your spirituality. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've, as far as the stones are concerned, I will always have stones around me. I'm a rock nut, as you know. And if you've been anywhere near me, you know that my pockets are usually, there's about 5,000 pounds of stone in your pocket. So those types of things will never leave me. What I'm doing is I've realized, and from a conscious standpoint, realized that the stones that we're getting nowadays are mass mind, and I don't feel like that me using those is spiritually sound. So basically what we're doing is we're in essence raping the earth and taking all of this beautiful rock and wearing it just because of adornment, and I can't really in good conscience do that. Our ancestors, when they brought stone in, they would, they went out and found their own stone, and they shaped it, and they adorned it in their own way. Basically people are buying from, people that have already made it. I think you get more spiritually from finding it yourself, or
right.
I just I'm passing it down from somebody that takes it spiritually instead of just as a moneymaker. I got into that rut for a little bit, and that was my own fault. I'm not afraid to admit my own mistakes because I think it helps everyone learn. But
right.
I got into my own rut of it being a moneymaker, and to take the place of my current employment. I don't think it would. I never wanted it to be that way, and I allowed it to go that way. And now I'm going backwards because I don't want it to be just about money. I should be about spirituality. It should be about what the stones mean to you. Each stone has its own energy, and each stone has its own life. And being a shamanic practitioner, I know that animism is a big part of what we believe, that everything has a soul and everything has its own energy. And, that's something that PSL preaches as a whole when it comes to paranormal research, is that we are a group, we're a very spiritual group, and we believe that everything is energy. Energy can be changed, but it can never be destroyed. So, and that's scientifically proven.
Yes, it is.
What we're doing as paranormal researchers is we try to bridge that gap between the mundane world and the magical world, as in, trying to make contact with, in essence, the other side, as I call walking the mist.
Exactly.
And basically what it is. And we're trying to prove or get information on what's after this. And I think a lot of researchers, they have their own belief system, and that's great. I don't put down any belief system in any way, shape, or form. However, I tell everybody that comes into PSL that, no matter what your belief system is, paranormal research will change your thought process, even in that belief structure. So it will add to, and it will give you a completely different outlook on spirituality and what you believe. And I think that's great. I think it's opening a lot of doors to people that need it. I think it's giving people some spirituality that they needed. That's something I firmly believe that human beings we've completely dropped, is the ability to connect with ancestors and really be a part of this, of Mother Earth as we're supposed to be.
Right. I was I was gonna ask you what you kind of thought about, kind of what your thoughts are on what goes on after this. I mean, we all believe, because my God, we've had so many experiences, you and I both, and some of them have even been together. But it's like that we know there is something more after this. But what are your thoughts about? Do you believe that we have several times to come back and do this thing until we get it right? I mean, what is your thought process on that?
I believe that we do. I also, Lisa and I actually had this conversation, I think on actually last week, with some of the teenage members of our group. Teenage members are really all of our children. But, not children together, children separately, but
yeah, exactly.
And to throw that out there. We, as a whole, we were talking about how, so energy changes, but it's not destroyed. So some of the Hindu belief structures, and Lisa brought this up, believe that pieces of your soul may go to different things. So we even made that even deeper and said, if you become part of a mass collective, which is what I believe, we all go back into this, like a grouping of all of our energies. It's like a big pool, right? And we have the ability to connect to this pool at any given time. As a psychic or a spirit walker, that's what we do, is we connect to that pool, we get information and bring it back. So if we go back into this pool, what's to say that the energy that we were or are doesn't grab or leave pieces of in that pool as we come back? So, if you take that into consideration, every time that we go in there, we're like a piece of each other, right? And accumulate all this other information and we bring that back with us. And that information can be attained by through meditation or journeying through the shamanic study. And I've actually seen some of my past lives. I'm assuming it's my past lives. I mean, I felt like it was. But then again, it goes back to that if you go into this master of energy, how do you know that it's your past life on somebody else's? But anyway, it could get really deep if you let it. But I think as a whole, yes, we do come back. I think we come here to experience what it's like to be human. There's things as spirit that you may not be able to experience, like touch, for instance. I mean, if you're pure energy, there isn't a solid form, right? So, there is no human touch. There is no none of that. The compassion that comes with that. I think as beings, we're here to kind of take that into consideration. I think there's some things that we need to learn spiritually. I think that there are roles that we have to play so that we learn those things, and even, and I know this is going to sound harsh, but stay with me here. Even children that, say, die of cancer at a young age, heartbreaking. It breaks my heart and brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it. But if you take into consideration that we're coming back to learn a certain thing or to help teach others, right? That whole process of coming into life and dying is actually a rebirth, but it's also teaching the people around you certain lessons. Unfortunately, I believe that if we don't learn those lessons, we're doomed to repeat it. It's just like history. If we don't learn from history, we're going to repeat it. Reincarnation or coming back is part of that process. We all have a history that we may not know immediately or we may not know at all, but it's there, and we're trying to learn to better ourselves to a higher plane, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It definitely makes sense. And the shamanic teachings, and that's why I have a friend that also is taking her. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, she's gotten her rights or whatever. She's taking the next step, advanced or whatever. I don't know what exactly the steps are as far as that goes, but the way that I believe, the way that when we have conversations, the way that I treat spirits, the way that I I guess my aura, I guess, she said I should go into, the teachings of the shamanic, because I see everything I try to see everything good. You know what I mean? I see everything in a good light until it brings out the ugly in itself. You know what I mean? I try to see the good in people, and I want to fix everything, and I want to do that. And she said, you have to know that you can't fix everything. Yeah. You can't, and you have to be okay with that. You have to humble yourself with that, and the shamanic teachings would help me as far as guide me into that direction. You know what I mean? So that I don't.
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm the same way. I want to help everyone to fix everything, and I can't. I know I can't.
Right. We're not that powerful.
Yeah. My shamanic studies is actually, brought that into focus, I think, and really allowed me to be more objective instead of subjective. Right. Sitting back and allowing people to make their own mistakes. That's how we learn. If we don't, you don't keep that. There's, and this sounds bad too, there's a meme going around Facebook that, removing warning labels and that's already out, right? So, and in essence, that's somewhat true. I mean, we have a tendency to try to keep people from harm, and actually harm is what teaches us to be different.
Right.
And unfortunately, we've as a society, I think that we've actually hurt ourselves by not allowing people to harm themselves, if that makes sense. So, if I don't learn that the stove is hot, I'm going to touch the stove, which is silly, because then I'm going to burn myself and I'm not learning anything, right?
Right.
So,
right.
I've got to make that and burn myself to know that, hey, that's hot. I don't want to touch that anymore, right?
Exactly.
And that's everything in life. I mean, we don't learn to turn switches on, through lights by just sitting there staring at it. We have to go do it, and I think that it's just that simple.
Yeah,
Shamanism to me is that simple. It is. You just go do it, and it's probably the simplest spirituality you could ever learn, but be the most in depth in teaching you some very valuable lessons. So I think it's an excellent choice. I have some great books, by the way, if you're interested, but that I would suggest. I haven't been through initiatory training. I don't consider myself a shaman. I would never consider myself a shaman unless a teacher or someone or like your tribe, quote unquote, actually calls you a shaman, and your teacher calls you a shaman. So it's to me, I'm just a practitioner.
Right.
I live it. I live it. I journey a lot. I do a lot of spiritual work. I look at things from a objective perspective, so that I can better understand life and better understand my purpose for being here. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, what's so funny is the purpose thing. Back when I was younger, I had no idea what the hell I wanted to do. I didn't really care at the time. When you're young, you really just don't really in-depth think about stuff like that. And, when you get a job and it gets mundane and it gets to where you hate going, and it's like, oh, my God, I can't stand this stuff. And you're not walking your path. You know what I mean? This is not what I was supposed to be doing, or I would not be this miserable. You know what I'm saying? This is not for me. Things happen for a reason, and that's, where fear comes from, for everything a reason. I lost a lot of things that I thought were dear to me, one being my job. And you know what? That was a blessing in disguise. Because if I'd have never left that job, I would have never found my calling, which is paranormal. I mean, it may not, and it's so weird because it had happened. I had to go through losing my mom and the depression of all that to find my calling. But it's like now, no, I'm not making a fortune. I'm not making any money. Trust me. But I'm doing what I love, and I feel like I'm walking my path. And then everything that has happened from, the Shadows on 66 thing, everything is like just boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. The people that have come into my life, like you and Lisa and all the awesome people, Chip, and all these people that I've met, have just been amazing. And it's just like somebody is kind of helping me along that path. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is just going like it should have my whole life. You know what I mean? If I'd have found me sooner, but obviously it's worked out the way it was supposed to have.
I
in the time it was supposed to work out.
Well, and that's, we go through things in life, and that goes back to what I was saying about learning lessons. If I was the same way. The funny thing was I grew up in a very open-minded household. My parents are phenomenal. They allowed me to study anything I wanted. They never pushed religion on me. My mom stopped going to Baptist church when I was 5, and started getting into the New Age, or at the time called New Age. We realized it was the old age. And we started that path. And, I was in Indian sweat lodges at, I think I was around 14 or 15. We lived out on a farm, and, we knew a Lakota Sioux shaman that would, she would come out and do sweat lodges on our property. She was an amazing lady, and I wish I'd had the insight then to talk to her about doing it, right, about becoming a shamanic practitioner. I really didn't have the insight, and I lived life. I joined the military, realized that was a mistake on my part. The military just wasn't for me.
I've never thought it would be for me. No.
It was a good experience, and I made some great friends, and there's some wonderful people, but it just wasn't for me. And I hurt my leg, and I got out, and that was the end of that. But you know, it was a good 3.5, almost 4 years. I had my son while I was in the service, so that was a blessing in itself.
Right.
So, you know, there's always good to everything. And even though it took me until my mid-30s to really pull my head out of my ass and realize what was important and not worry as much about making the buck. I used to make great money, but I was unhappy as hell, you know? I mean, there was no happiness in my life. I was missing my kid growing up. You know, I mean, what is it about that that's worth anything? You know, stress. I was 29 years old and in a heart doctor, for God's sake. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm 46 and I feel like I'm 66 because where I work tore my body up so badly that, you know, I mean, I worked myself to death. And I mean, hours and hours of physical labor, and I was hating it. Yeah, I made pretty decent money, you know, I had great benefits, but when you're missing your baby growing up, or your baby doing certain things at night because you're at work, you know what I mean, and you never get to hang out with him and stuff, yeah, it sucks. So there's a cost to pay for everything, and it just wasn't worth it to me. And now I'm on my path, you know what I mean, and and luckily I have a partner that's very supportive, and you know, makes a decent enough amount of money that, you know, I can actually have all the time I want with my son and still do what I love. So, you know, what does PSL, as far as, are y'all doing private investigations still? Are y'all doing a lot of those? Or y'all doing just a lot of publics right now? Are y'all kind of taking a little bit of a break until after the holidays? Or?
Well, we're kind of on a break until after the holidays. We've got, I think we did a private this last Saturday night,
right,
which was a lot of fun. It was a very interesting investigation. I haven't actually gotten to get through the evidence yet, which kind of sucks. That's the bad part about having a full-time job.
Right,
you know,
right.
But, you know, Lisa and I have been working on a lot of side projects, paranormal research, things that are hopefully going to be coming down the pipe here pretty soon. The next private, I think, is January 10th in Baxter Springs, Kansas, and we're going to possibly pick this place up as one of our tour locations. We have 4 tour locations currently, not including the cemeteries. We've got 2 cemeteries that we do tours in, too. We've got a couple of places in Carthage, Missouri, as you know, and then one in Joplin, one in Webb City. And then we do a cemetery in West City and a cemetery here in Joplin that has some pretty interesting background. But we've got a couple of other you know, things I can't really talk about. You know how that goes. Hopefully,
yeah, so do I. Yeah.
Yeah. You always have these really cool things going on. You can't tell anybody about it because they don't.
I know. Well, you know, Lisa gave me some cool shit, you know, information yesterday, and I'm like, busting at the seams and can't say a damn word about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm just like going, oh my God, it's so awesome, and I can't tell anybody. This sucks, you know.
And you know, I mean, we have all these. I mean, we were up in a really cool location here a couple of weeks ago, and I can't tell anybody about it. I do have some evidence though that I'm going to post from it. I just can't tell you where it's from.
Yeah, exactly. I just went with a group of people for my birthday to a location that I can't really tell anything about other than it's in a hospital in Arkansas somewhere. And it was really, really awesome, but I can't tell anybody where it was. But, you know, that's just how it goes, and that's okay. And I'm okay to do that because if it's got really cool stuff going on, I won't tell anybody anything. Just let me go. You know what I mean? I just want to check it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're actually going to do that location, too.
Oh, that's cool.
We got a couple schedules. We just haven't, you know, it's hard, you know, team members, it's hard to get everybody together, and we've got a great team now. I'm really excited about where we're going with that. We've been really focusing on building a team that is trustworthy, in it for the long haul, and in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
It is very hard because people just want to get in it for the thrill, and I'm telling you, people, if you're getting into it for the thrill, you're into it for the wrong reason.
And you're going to be fouling it because, let me just tell you, what you see on TV is not how it is. There's a lot of times you're sitting there talking to yourself, bored off your ass, in the dark, thinking, am I really crazy? Am I seriously? You start questioning your sanity. Am I seriously crazy? But then you listen after hours and hours of nothing, and I do mean hours of nothing but dust orbs on the freaking video portion and nothing but on the audio. And then when you hear that one freaking voice, you'll crap your pants and you'll be addicted for life. But until that happens, and if it doesn't happen right away, you'll be quickly disappointed that it's not like, ghost adventures and all that stuff on TV. It's just not that way.
It's really nothing like that. And there's, the television has shown or has tried to portray that just about every paranormal location you go to is, number one,
you're going to have something. Yes, that too, and I hate that. Ugh.
And it's, you're going to get possessed, and you're going to get, it's demonic, and you've got to be hateful to them, and we don't work that way. I know you guys don't either.
No, yeah.
We're not instigators. We don't cuss, complain, try to get them riled up. That just doesn't solve anything, and it doesn't give good evidence. We get plenty of evidence without it, and we don't, you're only going to cause yourself problems in the long run. I mean, the first time that you get touched is enough to make you, pee yourself. But if you get pushed by one, that's a whole other animal,
Yeah, that happened to me, and trust me, it gets your attention real quick. And, I thought I was tough, and I wasn't scared of much, and things like that. And that was the first time that I got actually pushed. And it was actually in a apartment where my best friend had been living, but he didn't tell me while we were staying there that somebody had died in the bedroom. He killed himself. And I was like, oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord, we've got issues now, you know what I mean? I've just been pushed, and he's like, oh, I forgot to tell you that, there's a guy that killed himself in the apartment. And I'm like, oh, my God, because I've seen a shadow behind me when I was doing the dishes, and I never thought, I thought I was trying to debunk it in my head, like, oh, that was the car light that just kind of reflected off the wall, or, and it was my shadow or whatever. That never happened, and then I got pushed. So when you have that happen, it's insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
So, those things will definitely change your perspective in a quick minute.
I've never been pushed. I've been touched several times. I grew up, like I said, in an open-minded household, but the property we lived on when I was in my teens, I graduated high school. We lived down on a farm in Oklahoma. The property was, at one point, there was an Indian reservation there, not a reservation, but a camp there. And the only reason I know that is because the Lakota Sioux shaman that used to come out would tell us where it was. And she was actually fun to ride in the car with, because she would see deer spirit and everything, and she'd be moving back and forth, avoiding them. It was hilarious. But and as I really started focusing on myself, then I was able to see spirit and quite often in my house. In fact, that yard, I actually saw what I'm guessing is an elemental of some sort, because it was about a 2.5, 3 foot tall figure jump out of one of our bushes and disappear. It was the weirdest thing I ever seen. I've never seen anything like it since. I also used to have a dark figure that would stand in my doorway and never was very harmful. He was just kind of there watching. And it was just an interesting experience. I would kind of wish I had that property still. We went by there not too long ago, and it's in the ruins, but good times. It's a neat place.
Well, I'm concerned about your locations that y'all have coming up, because we are going to be coming up there again with another group. We're probably going to start in March. Yeah. Lisa and I kind of discussed it yesterday. She told me y'all were working on one location, a bed and breakfast up there. I'm not going to name it or anything like that right now until we get things nailed down. But, yeah, I have these weekend things that I do for groups of people that want to go, and it's called Paranormal Palooza Weekends. And John and his, I guess she would be your co-team leader, right?
Yes.
Lisa Martin. Yeah. Whatever she wants to be called, I will call her that. But she's like the big wig on the team too. So, but Lisa and John and I have worked together a couple of times and taken groups. I've taken groups up to Missouri, and we stay at the John Wise Mansion, which is an amazing place, beautiful. And then we go to one of their locations, which would either be the Carthage Opera House. We were talking about possibly doing Fort Scott this next time, if we can hook that up. And we do the Kendrick House, which is, oh, my God, off the chain.
Do you remember the keys at the Kendrick House?
Yes.
You remember the keys that Rose carried around and unlocked gates and so forth? Yes. I had an interesting experience with that. The keys, Lisa had picked the keys up we hadn't really investigated Kendrick in a while as a team, so we didn't do any tours. We just had the team there doing an investigation. And we kept getting, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, because really, I almost blacked out from it. I picked the keys up, and I went to go put them up, because we kept having the feeling that Rose wanted them back where they belonged. And I picked them up, and I swear that I just about blacked out as I was carrying them. It was the highest energy I've ever felt from an object in my life. And that place has so much history. And it's just a lot of sorrow, but a lot of happiness, too. And there's just a lot that goes on there. It's one of the coolest locations that we do.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the Kendrick House and don't get evidence, something's wrong.
Yeah, or at least a personal experience. I mean, at least that. If you don't come away with, video, which is extremely rare to do anyway, or a photograph, which is extremely hard to get, at least an EVP, but if not, you at least have a personal experience. You know what I mean?
You will. Yeah.
That place is so cool. And then, we do another location that has nothing to do with you guys, but it's a cool location. But we're going to come up there again in March. We're going to do it again. And I want people to experience, like the thing that we experienced, you and I, in the John Wise Mansion, which was our big, tall, slender Hat Man. What happened to Mr. Hat Man? Let's talk about Mr. Hat Man. Have you seen or heard from our little buddy lately?
Actually, we did. Lisa and I were doing a show a few weeks ago, and he kept walking in front of the door, going into the kitchen from the
dining area. Yeah,
not the dining area. In the living area, like the living room or where the couch is.
Yeah.
We were on the couch looking through the door of the kitchen, and we kept seeing him walk back and forth, and he's still there. I mean, it's it's a great location. There's a lot of cool activity there. The little girl there is there quite a bit, and this is one of those locations where you will audibly, without equipment, hear men arguing, hear a little girl laughing. You will visually, without equipment, see the Hat Man. I see balls of light there on a regular basis. Lots of energy movement. It's really a cool place. A lot of cool history. Hopefully, it's going to get turned into a bed and breakfast too. That's what they were talking about. They've got to do a lot of work with and putting in a fire system. I think is was the holdup, but. It's really a neat location, and we'd like to
gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful place.
Nice. Oh, we love that place. I ask everyone that's on my shows, because we all like to share how exactly what sparked us into this, and then our craziest experiences. Because we all have a reason that got us on the paranormal pathway. You know what I'm saying? That got us with our passion for the paranormal. What was yours? What exactly sparked yours?
Gosh, that was
abilities, or?
I think that was part of it. I think it was just, we were talking about earlier about being drawn in the right direction. And it was funny. I was sitting around. My son had moved back in with his mom in Texas, and I was bored out of my mind on Halloween. And one of our friends had talked about going to a paranormal investigation. And I used to watch the shows on TV all the time. And I thought, man, that'd be fun. So, and I saw it on Facebook, and I thought, well, hell, I could do that. So this was at the Olivia, and it was just a few bucks. I went there. Everybody was really nice. Lisa and the team then, and I ended up going back the next night. Well, as I was walking around, I kind of walk around by myself a lot, and because I'm always halfway in there and halfway not. And Lisa's like, I really am. And Lisa's like, are you having fun? And I said, yeah, it's kind of cool. She goes, is this something you'd want to do? And I said, well, I have a lot going on. I hate to tell you that I can commit when I can't. And really, I should have never said that, because I think I've missed one investigation since.
Yeah, that kind of happens, doesn't it?
It becomes an addiction, and to me it was an addiction because I was able to heighten myself spiritually. I have gone through such an amazing transformation in such a short amount of time that it really is even wild to me what has happened, and it's been great. I mean, what's happened is everything that I've gone through, I've been able to pass on to other people. So, even my own family, I've started a book study with a friend and a couple of my family members on a shamanic book that I'm very fond of. And so that's been a great for them. It's adding to their spiritual life. It's been good for me, meeting some of the fantastic people like yourself and all of your team and all the people that you bring with you when you come. And it's just been a lot of fun to be able to share this experience with such awesome people. But it, really, I can't narrow it down. Like I said, years ago on the farm, I would see all kinds of things, and I think that's always been kind of part of who I am. My grandmother was psychic, but she was Baptist, so it was very hard on her.
Yeah. I mean, my mom had abilities too, and so her family, one side of her family is, has Native American Indians, so of course they believe in spirits. And they, sure. Of course my great-great-grandmother had, the ability, and I believe she might have even been a medicine woman, if I'm not mistaken. I need to go back and make sure before I verify and confirm that. But, there are things in my past that my mom on one side was kind of, they were okay with it. They believed in it. And then her dad's side, not so much. So it was like she didn't talk about it, but my mom had abilities to, tell people, you're pregnant, you're going to have a boy, and I'll be damned if they didn't have that, and they wouldn't even know they were pregnant at the time. Well, I've done that as well. So I picked up on, I told my little sister, I'm like, you're pregnant. She's like, bullshit. And I'm like, it's not either. I swear to God, take a freaking test. And she goes, you're a bitch. I'm not pregnant. I go, okay, whatever. And I hadn't seen her in a couple of months, and, I'm like, she goes, how would you know that? I go, well, first clue is your boobs are huge. You've never had boobs that big. They're like as big as mine right now. That's wrong. So something ain't right, and that's the first thing I'm gonna tell you is you're pregnant. She's like, you're a bitch. And so she goes home, and 2 weeks later she calls me and goes, okay, now I'm confirming that you're a bitch because I'm pregnant. And I'm like, yeah, and it's gonna be a boy. And she goes, we don't know what it's gonna be yet. I go, I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be a boy, and I'll be damned if it's not a boy. So So I was like, okay, the dreams that I had as a child and in my teen years and things like that, the crazy dreams that I had that would come, to fruition, I I knew that I had some sort of ability. I just didn't know what the hell it was. I just thought it was, bipolar craziness because that's what they diagnosed me as. And that's what happens a lot. People that talk about abilities like this, or that they feel too much, or that they're too emotional as an empath like I am, the first thing they say is, oh, you're freaking bipolar. You're manic depressant, whatever they want to call it. And then they give you medicine, and hey, guess what? The medicine don't work because you're not freaking bipolar. You're an empath. It's not going to dull you so badly unless they give you, like, freaking, morphine or something. It's not going to make your senses and your dulling go away. That's where the shielding comes in. And I was going to ask you what stones, if people are out there listening and they need help grounding and shielding themselves, and like me, I go and I speak about being an empath, and I'm in the learning process as well. And I tell them that every time. I'm not an expert. I just figured out I'm an empath. Hello. I've been misdiagnosed for years, taking medications I didn't need to take, with side effects that I didn't need to deal with. I just needed to walk this path and find out it's not that I'm crazy. Well, we all know I'm crazy.
Yeah,
I have paperwork to prove it, but anyway, we won't go there. It's the fact that when you get on this path and then you start learning things, then you do open up. I'm starting to get names and things like that. The problem being, and with the stones that you've given me and that other people have gifted me over, the past year, and for my birthday, I've gotten some really cool stones, and I carry all those with me. But what would you suggest for somebody who needs, like, protection or grounding or whatever from, to try to help them focus and not feel every damn thing in the world?
So let's go backwards a little bit. I went through the same thing. I really felt like I was crazy. There were times in my life that I just felt like a complete mess. And there are still times that I have to push back, as you know, from living with it, is that you have to be able to push your energy out enough to keep them away from you.
Right.
Walmart is just pure hell for an empath.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the worst place in the world you could ever possibly go is Walmart.
Yep.
From many standpoints, but one of them being an empath. As far, I feel with my son on the same level is, being a sensitive, it runs in the family. My mother, my sister, my nephew, my son, and my son has gone through some pretty traumatizing things, but all of it is leading him to a certain point. So I'm trying to help him guide him in that he can learn from my mistakes. So if you are sensitive, be aware that your children probably are too.
Yeah, mine is.
As parents, it's our duty to help them as much as we can. And that's probably why I studied so much, is because I want to be able to help my son Tristan along his path so that he can grow faster than I did.
Right.
But as far as stones, I'm sitting here, there's many, many stones out there for working with keeping negative energy at bay. It just really depends on what you're doing. If you're just an everyday stone, black kyanite's probably my favorite. I have actually watched black kyanite take somebody from a negative state to a positive state within seconds. And it's not that it's magic, it's just the energy of the stone. There's nothing about it that's evil or anything like that. And some people take that the wrong way. That stone, I have a friend at work, she's a Christian, and she carries the black kyanite in her pocket that I gave her because she swears that if she forgets it, her day is horrible.
Oh, wow.
So she carries this black kyanite fan in her pocket all the time. She's a really sweet lady, older lady. She's in her late 50s, just a really cool chick. But anyway, so black kyanite's probably the one that I would choose for somebody that just needed some balance. It's an excellent balance stone. I'm sitting here holding a piece of black amber that is excellent for psychic attacks, but really anything black. Hematite.
Like tourmaline? Because
black
if I'm not mistaken, I believe that this is what Jason Black, he makes jewelry now. And you met Jason. But I think it's black tourmaline that I put around my neck. And let me just tell you, today, or yesterday and today, I've been feeling kind of crappy. I didn't wear it yesterday because I was laying in bed sick. I had them closed, but I didn't have it on me. And I put it on when I got out of the shower this afternoon, and man, I'm like going, woo, and like all pumped up, like I'm ready for my show, and all this, and I'm like, what the hell? And I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with it sitting right next to my heart, I'm not sure, but, you know, the stones do give me, and it was weird because we went to, Estes Park, Colorado, to the Stanley Hotel. And I had my stones with me, and I had my medicine bag on me. I still got jacked with, but I still felt more protected. And we went to this rock shop. It's called Dick's Rock Shop, and it was so amazing. I mean, I know that they've raped Mother Earth to get these things, and I hate that portion of it. They weren't huge mega pieces like that article that you posted, but, you know, these pieces were amazing, and I was just drawn to some. But in that rock shop, you could also feel spirits out their ass. I was like, oh, my God. I'm like, you walk in that room, Helen, and she walked in the room with, whoa. I go, yeah. And I don't think that's all about the stones. You know what I'm saying? And I said, that's all about the spirits. And she goes, yeah. And I go, man, they are all over this place. And the owners of the rock shop said, oh, girl, I won't even walk around here and turn out the lights by myself. We don't like closing up at all by ourselves. None of us. The owner doesn't like it. The freaking workers don't like it. So they always have to have somebody there with them when they close up because they cannot take it. And they're not even the paranormal investigators that, you know, I'm like, oh, my God, I would so love to come back and do an investigation here. You know what I mean? And they're like, anytime. I'm like, oh, my God, how cool. But it was crazy.
One of the biggest advice I can give to people that are just starting out, especially with empath work, is, number one, understand your own abilities. You know, the fact that you feel somebody's emotions doesn't mean that it's your emotions. And I went through a period where I had to say it just wasn't mine. You know, and sometimes you have to. Try to read it, try to understand it, try to help whoever it is that is feeling that way, because a lot of times those emotions carry other information. And, you know, if you can tune into that and pull that information out, it actually becomes almost kind of a game, and it makes it a little easier for me. Other thing is don't fear. Fear is the worst possible thing, and being a paranormal investigator, you know this. Fear feeds negativity. So if you have a negative spirit around and you are scared of it, that is the worst possible thing you can do, because all it's going to do is eat off that fear, and it's going to get worse.
Damn, maybe I should change my team name.
Well, if your team name is what you told me the acronym stands for, right?
Yeah, for everything a reason is what it means. So, yeah.
That's what you told me.
Yeah, oh, the other one, the F everything and run, yeah, that one too.
But fear itself is probably the worst thing, you know. And I read something years ago. It said fear is the thief of dreams, and that is such a fact. And everything in our life, if we're scared of it, if we don't make that jump, we will never know. And then we end up getting older and realizing, crap, I never did what I wanted to do. And I think it's important that people realize that, and I hope your listeners realize that the fear is the part of life that it's going to be there. It's always going to be there, but you don't have to listen to it.
You can walk through it. Yeah.
You can walk through it, and you know, if you think that living a spiritual life is going to keep bad things from happening, you're out of your mind, because that's part of it. The balance is what everything should be, and every spirituality that I've ever studied has a balance. Everything is there for a reason. we walk that gray line, we walk the mist, as I've always said, that is, we walk the mist has it's very deep meaning for me. And, that is where we should walk. It's a balanced line of where everything really is. And there's information on either side of that path that we can access, that you stay in that middle and realize that it'll all be okay. And that's kind of where walking this comes from, is just that mentality of walking a balanced line, walking the line between the yin and the yang. That's what it's all about.
So what are you going to do for Walk the Mist? Are you going to keep Walk the Mist going? And if so, what will Walk the Mist actually entail?
Well, Walk the Mist, I'm still going to hold that space, because I think that it's important for me to share my journey and hope that my journey help others on theirs.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that, your path will never be the same as mine, because our paths will never be the same. But they
just cross. Yeah.
And as they cross, if you can get information from me or get help from me, or I can get information from you or help from you, that's what it's all about. We'll walk together for that period of time, and then we can go our separate ways. And if we cross again, great. If not, it's been a good ride. But so I will still hold that space. I will still share information. I still have quite a bit of stone and some things I'd like to make up. I was actually talking to my son about this last night, that I'd like to focus on sustainable products like herbs. He makes salves and stuff like that, that things that can be made without destroying the earth, and maybe a little more balanced as far as what we're doing to the earth, instead of just basically stealing all the pretty stone.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That's kind of it's still an in-process thing for me, but walking this will always be there as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to start blogging more. I think I've been doing a lot of studying with some very excellent shamanic practitioners that have some great books out there that I talk to personally. So I'd like to share that information as it goes.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it's going to be. It's always going to be kind of my side project and who I am as a person. And PSI will always be my paranormal life.
Okay, so if we got a couple of minutes left, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to let everybody know how they could find you and Paranormal Science Lab, and kind of give them a rundown of what y'all got going on, because I know y'all have a show on here too.
Paranormal Science Lab is paranormalsciencelab.com and /events. If you want to see the upcoming events that we have going on. I'm doing some rework on the website. In fact, I'm going to be working on that here pretty soon, again in our downtime. Walk the Myth is just Walk the Myth. It's also Facebook for Paranormal Science Lab is facebook.com /PSO Missouri. Walk the Myth is facebook.com /Walk the Myth. If you want to find me, I'll be on the Walk the Myth page or the PSL page. I'm on both of them quite a bit. PSL probably has about close to 10 pages, I think. It's just we have pages for each of our
Hendrick House, the John Wise, you got everything going on. Yeah, so you'll link all that'll make sense to you when you start seeing them together. John, I really appreciate, and just let me say, everyone should bow to the Gypsy King Off-White. It's personal, private joke that we had, but
I am the Gypsy King.
You are, and everyone should bow to you, but I want to thank you so much for being here on here tonight, and I've had a blast, and I know that my listeners have gotten a lot out of it, because you're just too cool, and I'll definitely have you back on, because we're not done yet.
Oh no, we got a lot of things to do still yet in this world. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, we do.
I've had a great time, Selena. It's always good to talk to you, and I wish you all the love and blessings with the holiday season. If I don't get to talk to you before then, I'm sure I will, though. And all of your viewers.
You too.
Whatever your faith system is, I hope that you get to celebrate it in a loving and beautiful way. And thank you all for having me.
All right, man. Thank you so much, and right back at you. I'll talk to you soon, John.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was John Emmett. And like I said, look him up on book and check out Walk the Myth and Paranormal Science Lab. They have a show on here on Friday nights as well. You need to check that out on DCM Wicked Radio. I want to let you know next week I will have Kim Nowak on here. She is the director of promotions and everything at the Sloth Furnaces. Then the week after that, I'm going to have Santiago Cirillo on, and he is from The Walking Dead, and he's doing a project that will honor our veterans. So I will wish that you would all join me for those. We also have tickets for Sloth Furnace if you want to go on the Close to Death webpage, or not webpage, excuse me, Close to Death Facebook page. I'll have all those links on there for tickets for Sloth Furnace. We have Tombstone owners of the Birdcage and things like that coming up in January. And I hope you will join me for those every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central, here on DCM Wicked Radio, Close to Death. Thanks to my sponsors, Syntex Reef Systems in Waco, Texas. I appreciate y'all. And everyone have a great weekend. And peace out.